passcode. Everybody will have to acknowledge that. There we go. All right. So I'm going to say a prayer. So I'm placing my hands in my heart and taking in that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. Just breathing in some love, breathing out some love. So grateful and thankful for this opportunity to come together with my precious brothers and sisters. Grateful for our willingness to hold this sacred space, this sacred community in love and compassion each and every week. Grateful for our willingness to practice the teachings of Jesus through A Course in Miracles, and grateful that we can be a blessing in this world. We're holding, in particular, our precious sister Catherine in this moment, just having lost her partner Ron unexpectedly, and our friend Nancy Gale, who had surgery yesterday. Just knowing that they are completely surrounded and supported by mighty companions, as we all are. We're grateful to know that we are able to send out love and blessings and prayers of comfort and strength and courage to both of them and to all those in our community that have been going through challenges, whether in just this past week or even longer. So we're grateful that we do get to come together and love and support each other each week. And we're grateful for our earthly and heavenly helpers that join us and bless us. And we ask that they join us now, support this conversation, support this healing. We're grateful that they support the technology that we get to use to come together every week. We are open to receive the blessings that are ours to receive, and we're grateful to share them and the love that we are with Mother Earth and all her beings, because we're one. In grace and divine gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So we are still in the Manual for Teachers. Today we are covering section 19, What is Justice? And yeah, what is justice? Let's find out. I'm just going to start us with the first paragraph because there were so many juicy tidbits in there. And he says, justice is the divine correction for injustice. Injustice is the basis for all the judgments of the world. Justice corrects them, corrects the interpretations to which injustice gives rise and cancels them out. Neither justice nor injustice exists in heaven, for error is impossible and correction meaningless. In this world, however, forgiveness depends on justice, since all attack can only be unjust. Justice is the Holy Spirit's verdict upon the world. Except in his judgment, justice is impossible, for no one in the world is capable of making only just interpretations and laying all injustices aside. If God's Son were fairly judged, there would be no need for salvation. The thought of separation would have been forever inconceivable. And this is just reaffirming to us the fact that we are sinless. There is no such thing as sin. There is no such thing as good or bad. That only exists in our perception. And so, I mean, the highlighted parts that I put just in this paragraph alone was, justice is the divine correction for injustice. and neither exists in heaven, for error is impossible and correction meaningless. If God's Son were fairly judged, there would be no need for salvation. The thought of separation would have been forever inconceivable. And that is why the Course's version of what forgiveness is so powerful, because it really is about believing and accepting that nothing was done that needs to be forgiven, that everything happened exactly perfectly as it's supposed to for our good. And again, it's that, you know, what could you not accept? What could you not accept? So that's where I'm starting us off with some radical radical forgiveness and some radical responsibility here. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Grace.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused at the moment. So was the separation then supposed to happen? I don't know if that's answerable.
Yeah, no, it never happened. It never happened, only in our minds. The separation only happened in our minds. And even there, it's just a dream. It's just an illusion. I've heard several course teachers point out that it says in the Bible that Adam fell asleep, but it never says he woke up.
Right. Yeah.
So
I read that.
Yeah. So the separation never happened. We're just imagining it. We're just in this playground of an illusory world, playing out all of these crazy ideas of what we think life is supposed to be or not supposed to be, and judging it all.
But God being all powerful, he can't see into what we're doing. I'm sorry, these questions are really
no, these are
I don't
great
even understand
questions.
my own questions.
No, these are great questions. I feel like God is everything. God is in everything. God is in us, and we are only thoughts in the mind of God. So I feel like God is aware of the dream that we are dreaming, but he's not concerned because he knows it's a dream.
Yeah. He's not sucked into it.
Yeah, he's just going to let us play it out like a video game for as long as we want to.
Yeah. I don't want to play it out anymore. It's getting too tough.
Yeah, it can feel that way.
Linda.
Yeah, you're welcome. Who else would like to share? Carla, go ahead.
So I was just going to address that what has come to me is that we are loved. We're only loved. God doesn't judge what we choose in this body life or in his thoughts, whatever it is. He only offers us love. And so my sense is if we choose this, whatever it is, he just loves us. He's like, oh, I love you. Here's more. Here's more. Here's more. So if we choose worry, there's like more things to worry about, But it's our mind. We can choose. We get to choose what we desire. So God doesn't choose for us. God doesn't say, no, you wouldn't want to do that. That's not really something you're interested in doing. God doesn't decide. So that's where we have all the freedom. We have everything because we can choose anything. And so maybe this is a good time. I wasn't going to introduce it, but I was feeling guided to read a poem. It's called Nothing is Everything. I think this is for me, but In my mind, I see myself waving a white flag of surrender, while all around me, chaos is appearing to happen. I do not feel afraid, just empty, but certain. Done. Done listening to ego-driven thoughts, unloving thoughts, choices, actions. It feels like I have much to do now, but I have not a clue what it is. I am saying, screaming really, in my mind, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. All while waving my white flag of surrender. So I let go, thinking of wanting, of liking, of not liking, until I am empty, nothing left. And even that, I surrender. I surrender the nothingness. And in that surrender, and in that complete surrender, I realize I am everything.
Thank you, Carla. Beautifully said.
I love your poems, Carla. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Humira. Gwen.
I guess that poem kind of took my breath away for a moment. I didn't know if I could speak. Carla, thank you. Those poems, like, they're always amazing. You know, I read this and I was like, wow. And I liked what you said, Carla, about the perspective of, you know, it kind of gave me this visual of, you know, the smorgasbord. You know, it's all out there and we're making these choices. And I'm trying not to get upset because I'm thinking, damn, I'm not liking all the choices I'm making. I've had a lot of, you know, like everybody, we have situations, a lot of suffering, and I know I'm doing it to me. You know, it isn't, I mean, I'm responsible enough that I am taking ownership of it, but at the same time, I don't want to beat up on myself, you know, and I'm aware, you know, I'm learning and growing, and I'm trying to have that perspective always of, so this didn't work or this happened and it's for my highest, you know, for my betterment, you know, my involvement. And I just find this really humbling. I just really do. It's a lot to take in. And I was like, you know, I just really want to try to be playful with this and not so serious, you know. So there's a smorgasbord. What can I choose, you know, differently, and try to lighten up so things may not seem so challenging or difficult, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gwen. Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Yeah. There's no reason for us to judge ourselves for anything that we think, say, or do, because God is using it for good. There is no other way to use it. There is no other way. And that's why there is only love. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Even though sometimes I still want to yell at him. Right? Like, why? Like it's his fault. Yeah. Thank you, Gwen. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Derwin.
Thank you. Thank you all. Beautiful people, light workers. I don't say it only here. When I pray and I say that I connect to all light workers, you all are in my mind.
Mm.
So thank you again, Linda, for hosting this, our Tuesdays sessions. Thank you everybody for sharing up to now. Beautiful poem. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Carla. Thank you for the questions you asked, Grace. I had them too. I still think of them as well. Yeah, there is, when I read the first paragraph, and thank you, Linda, for highlighting that, I strongly immediately felt all is well, and it's up for the mind to like accept the atonement again and again and again and again and again.
Mhm. And again and again and again and
And
again.
again and again. And tomorrow again. Because yeah, that the perception of I am separate, I am alone, I am against, they are, that is my perception.
Mhm.
So my perception, my responsibility to accept again and again that a separation never happened. There is no separation. And I appreciate the free will that we have as humans to choose again. But I just have to remind myself that small thing, choose again. And there are days like these weeks when I look at these days, today, for example. So in our prayer, that I feel separate. And that I wonder, why is all this happening? And that I don't, that I don't want to choose from the free will of remembering that there was no separation. And that is then part of, as some might call it in non-spiritual, my non-spiritual friends was so much into psychology might say that your unhealed inner child.
Yeah.
From a place of embracing it, from a place of, it's okay, let's work with it. But where we are now in this beautiful community with our practical tools, free will means for me allowing that trust, allowing that patience, allowing that unconditional love for my poor little mind that thought he was separate.
Yeah. Aw.
And I'm collecting those goodies for trust, to have that deepened and to have my patience be more deep as well.
Yeah.
No idea where my share is going, but I'm going to keep it to this. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're muted, Linda.
I pressed it, but I guess I didn't press it hard enough. Yeah, I said it's so important to love all of those different parts of ourselves. Even the parts that feel completely unlovable, prickly like a porcupine. Yeah. Thank you. Hamira.
Hi, everybody. Lower my hand. I'll do that later, I guess. So first of all, thank you, Linda, as always,
for creating this space for us. I love you so, so very much. You were the person that got me into actually masterful living, and I will forever be grateful just for your generosity and your love and always openness to all of us. You don't know what you've done for my life, so I'll just put it out there that you and every single person here. Carla, your poems, your wisdom always just like, it just lifts me, and I'm so grateful. I feel like I literally feel like my brain today is rewiring, like boom, 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 boom. Like it just, I'm on fire. And it's interesting because yesterday, if you saw me, I was like, like, oh, I just doom and gloom. And it's interesting because I'm seeing it's my thoughts that create that, like, where am I focusing? And, a lot is happening without going into the story in my life in relationship to my brother and all of that. And yet I can have days like today where I feel at one with everyone and, connected and trusting, to what Derwin said. I mean, just everybody like just lifts me when I open myself up to it, And so as I was reading this section, first of all, I want to just start off with saying that in the situation involving judging, in which I see myself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. In the situation involving judging in which you find yourself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. So together, as we do this work together, we slowly are letting go of judging. And I'm doing, in addition to Course in Miracles, doing a program with Regina Dawn Akers, who Carla introduced me to a while ago. And the lesson for today, I'll just read it for you guys. It's very short. If I can find it, 1 second. It says, watch your mind for judgments about others. When you notice a judgment, say this to yourself. Judgment creates the sense of separation, but the spirit of God is one. I am willing to let go of my judgments. And it's so aligned with what we're reading today, because even in this section that we read, and I lost a page, I had underlined a few things. What page is it on, Linda?
In my book, it's page 47. So probably somewhere in that area for you.
Okay, 47.
It's what is justice?
Yes,
section
yes.
19.
Yes. So, gosh, I've underlined so much. But I know you read paragraph 1. It says, justice is the divine correction for injustice. Paragraph 2. First line, justice, like its opposite, is an interpretation. It is, however, the one interpretation that leads to truth. And then this part just took me to ecstasy, paragraph 2, line 5. The path becomes quite different as one goes along, nor could all magnificence, the grandeur of the scene, and the enormous opening vistas that rise to meet one as the journey continues be foretold from the outset. So we have no idea, like it feels good right now to not judge and we feel connected, but what it's promising us is that there's this level of bliss that we can't even comprehend with our consciousness, as high as it might be in this state. Like it's that good. So I thought that one was quite beautiful. And then paragraph 3, it says, all concepts of your brothers, first line, and yourself, all fears of future states, and all concerns about the past stem from injustice. And it defined injustice in the first paragraph as judging. When we judge ourselves or our brothers as separate from us, that's injustice. And then paragraph 5 or paragraph 4, line 6, God's judgment is his justice. Onto this, a judgment wholly lacking in condemnation and evaluation based entirely on love. You have projected your injustice. So if we are fearful of God, it's because we've projected our sense of injustice and think God judgment day, right? How many of us thought, like I grew up with that notion, even though I didn't grow up in a religious home. judgment, God's going to judge, you're going to go burn in hell forever. Like, I remember my mom saying that when we were like very young, because we didn't obey or something. So I'm grateful to get another version of God. And I'm grateful to all of you for introducing that to me. Love you all.
Thank you, Hamira. Me too. Go ahead, Grace.
Thanks, Hamira. And yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, God's judgment is atonement. So it's all love. So even if we're not raised in a sort of crazy religious home like some of us were, we're all in this terrible state of fear and guilt about God. We're frightened of God. We're frightened of love. I can't imagine it, but that's what I've read about myself. Yeah, and thanks, Carla. Oh, I don't mind if you want to read that poem again at the end. It was so fantastic. So I've been in quite reasonable peace for quite a long time, and then suddenly, wham bam, this week, out of it completely. I had such a hard week, and I confided in one friend. I don't like to talk too much about my troubles. I tell Spirit, and I didn't tell anybody else. And I was talking to Spirit, but I have one friend here, and I told her a little snippet of something that was quite concerning, and I saw her even because I was teaching a class on Sunday and she was at the class, and I just mentioned it again to her, to hold me in her prayers. I didn't hear a thing from her, and last night she popped around, and all this I'm projecting. All right, I know that whatever she did, that's coming from my mind. So I was judging her as not being a good friend. And this is typical of her to be so flaky and yada, yada, yada. She came round, and instead of just handing it over to Spirit, I had to open my mouth, didn't I? And I told her that, you're my oldest friend here, and you know what I've been going through. I said, I just feel so disappointed that you didn't give me any support. Oh, Linda, you've been in this situation with a friend. I suddenly remember. And I learned from you. I didn't say too much, but I had, I was sufficiently in ego to be judging her and even telling her, because I just felt if I don't say anything, this stuff that she does is going to go on forever. And while I was talking, I knew this stuff is me. What the heck am I talking about? But no, I had to still, ego got me by the guts, and I still went. Not too long, but I'd said to her, what a tough week I've had, and I guess I have expectations of you to support me a little, and I didn't hear a word from you, even though I've seen you like twice this week since then. And because she was really upset, and I said to her, I know enough to know that I don't want you to feel guilty, and don't do shame, blame, and all that stuff, because I'm not now coming from anger. I'm coming from the process of forgiving myself and understanding that this is just my judgment. I don't know why I felt I had to tell you this, but I'll probably be sorry by not a few minutes from now, right? I said, but that's just how I feel. Today was a particularly hard day, and I just want you to know that I hope that, this isn't telling me that I'm a bad friend as well. So I'm half awake and half asleep, right? Anyway, so, we parted, and I gave her a hug, and I said, listen, I just want you to know how I am feeling, but I don't want you to go into beating yourself up. And I don't want me to go into myself for beating myself up. But oh yeah, how quickly did I jump from peace to doing the whole thing, the whole story? So I just wanted to own up, and sometimes I'm an angel and sometimes I'm not quite there.
You're always an angel, just sometimes your wings get a little tarnished, that's all. Oh, Grace, I know exactly what you're talking about. So my heart goes out to you, my friend. I love you.
If I learned one thing from you was don't say too much. Keep it short. If you're going to say something, because afterwards I realized all this I'm going to have to take back from her with apologies and everything. So fine, I can do that. I'm going to call her after this session.
Yeah, it's easier not to say anything than to have to clean up the judgmental vomit.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks,
Grace.
Linda.
Yeah. Fabi and then Gwen.
Yes. I can share too that very recently, a few days ago, I was with my sister on a vacation, a little getaway, and we went to a national park, and we had been like 3 days, and we were having a wonderful time. But on the fourth day, when we visited this park, it's a petrified forest, and it's protected because they tell you they don't want you to take free souvenirs because it's already been ransacked. And my sister loves to collect stones from the river, from anywhere we go. And I told her to please not collect anything from there because they're trying to preserve it. And she will not listen. And I made a judgment that was wrong. And it caused us to get into sort of it made things tense. It made a trip awkward on the way back. And she reacted defensively, and she couldn't see that it was not right. But really, saying that is wrong, it was my judgment. And I get it. I get it. It was my judgment what caused me to feel bothered. And she even told me, look at yourself in the mirror. And she is my mirror. And reminded me, do you remember when you stole a saucer from the restaurant? I'm like, yeah, it's true. I've done that too. So yeah, it's all about the judgment. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Fabi. Isn't it wonderful that you can see that and you can surrender the guilt and the shame that you have and free your sister in the process?
Yes, thank you. And you know what that, I mean, because she was saying, I don't feel guilty. I did nothing wrong. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you don't feel guilty. I was the one feeling guilty because she did it with my knowledge. We were in my car, so I was a
Yeah.
participant too. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Gwen and then Leslie.
Yeah, very quickly, I was kind of along the same line responding to what Grace said, and it came to me, oh my gosh, yeah, because I had a really challenging week this last week. But one of my close friends was down south renting a house for a week, and her son and her son and daughter-in-law both wound up with COVID. And she was going to see them on Wednesday. And then she was telling me they were going to drive home Friday and she was going to be at church on Sunday. And I had this righteous indignation out, and she's a nurse, no less. And I was going to say, do you really think you should be going to church when you've been around somebody with COVID? Well, I don't know all the specifics, and according to my daughter, Rose, who works for the health department here, she says, well, Mom, a lot of times now they're saying, you might not, you can do different, whatever. And I fought, well, really, it wasn't a fight, but I was aware, and I feel like, oh, I am learning. I am really learning and getting something, because I was aware that it was me wanting to put this thing over on her and speak up and put her, like, you are wrong, but I knew that it was all me. And I didn't say anything. And I was like, wow, that was a great notice. So I like, sometimes in our lives, we think we're falling short, we're not staying in the place of love. And we do need these things at times to remind us, yes, we are getting it. Sometimes not as quickly as we'd like, but I could so relate to what Grace and Beatrice had said.
Yeah, thank you, Gwen. That's Jennifer calls that proving God. Proving God. I mean, seriously, that all you have to do is notice something like that and realize, oh yeah, God is working in my life. Absolutely. No questions about it. Thank you. Leslie. And then Kathleen.
Hi, everybody. Maybe I'm just in like an ego state right now because I don't see a problem with what Grace did. I mean, as long as, maybe I misunderstood it, but if I have my best friend that I asked her specifically to support me and she was not able to, I don't see how it's wrong to tell her that I was disappointed and I needed her support, as long as I'm not attached to how she's going to react, or I knowing going into that I can't. This is what gives me is I know I can't change somebody else's behavior, and boy, sometimes I really want to, but help me out here. I mean, what was so wrong with it, Grace?
There wasn't anything really wrong with it, except for what was her intention in doing it.
Oh, yes, intention. Yes.
And then how was she feeling afterwards? She felt bad afterwards. So
Yeah.
it was not the
Yeah.
most loving thing for her to do, or otherwise she would not have felt bad.
Right. You wouldn't have felt bad afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, I think I could have made it, if I was going to say something, I would just make it one sentence and then, try to go into letting it go, but I couldn't let it go. And I was half coming from spirit and half coming from ego. You know how that is when you're in both worlds. It was classic, yeah. But I heard this voice inside saying, if you were more awakened, you wouldn't need a friend to support you like that. And then I thought, okay, now don't beat yourself up over that. But
Right.
as you say, it's like proving God. And I think it's not that bad for us to have these experiences, because there's a lot of growth that goes with them.
Because what I get mixed up with a lot is the whole feeling thing. Because I'm a 2 and I'm a heart person. I'm into the feelings and something, right? All of us 2s know this. And I just get confused sometimes where, okay, she was feeling disappointed. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with telling people how you feel? But I understand what you're saying is what's the intention behind it. And you can say it with love in your heart and not be attached to it. And I hear what you're saying. Yeah. But feelings I just get mixed up with feelings, because sometimes I feel like we're just supposed to do a spiritual bypass, and that means don't feel your feelings. And I know that's not true, but that's how I feel sometimes. See, I even talk about that. I never say that's how I think. I say that's how I feel.
Yeah, we're so used to using that language now, right?
Well, I do, because like I said, that's how I feel. I mean, in other, I'm big into the Enneagram. Of the other types that are from the head types, they are more thinking, and I mean, we all have our issues to overcome, but I don't know, Grace, I'm on your side with that one, girl. No, but you're not. You're the one that it's not a side thing, and I'm just being judged right now. And I know it's because I'm tired. I have a headache. I don't feel well. So that's when ego likes to jump in my shit.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when I just need to keep my mouth shut and do my job and not say too much to anybody.
Well, this week I really had to watch every thought I had. And I was shocked at how much ego was jumping in there. Every opportunity. I mean, split second, stop thinking about spirit and those things that, you know, I want to be thinking about. And I had ego all over the place. So I was aware that that was happening. But I do know that disappointment really is just a part of fear. And it's not my goal to be in fear around anything. So I didn't want to say I'm ticked off at you, right? That's not very spiritual. So I chose the word disappointed so I would be more spiritual.
And that's so funny because disappointed is my big trigger word. I'll take anything before disappointment. That's
I
the
see,
worst.
yeah.
That's like a big sin scar for me. That disappointment is, but you're right, it's fear. So very interesting. We're
Thanks,
all walking this
Leslie.
journey.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I'm only telling you guys because, you know, you fess up about all sorts of things. So I just feel like I'm going to fess up. It'll help me and it'll help everybody else.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing, Grace. That is helpful.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you both. Kathleen.
Yeah, I just wanted to read the last paragraph. Starting at, I'll just read the whole thing. Pray for God's justice and don't confuse his mercy with your own insanity, which is like lack of forgiveness, I'm sure. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Remember this, and this lies either heaven or hell as you elect. God's justice points to heaven just because it's entirely impartial. It accepts all evidence that's brought before it, omitting nothing and assessing nothing as separate and apart from all the rest. From this one standpoint does it judge, and this alone. Here all attack and condemnation become meaningless and indefensible. Perception rests, the mind is still, and light returns again. Vision is now restored. What had been lost has now been found. The peace of God descends on all the world, and we can see. Love that. And it's like taking all this stuff we're talking about, and it just gets mushed into one big blob of a life. And then God just like, okay, go to heaven, go to heaven, go to heaven. I don't care what you did, go to heaven. You know, right? And then just focusing on light, always focusing on light really helps. And I was rereading chapter 30 that keeps reminding us, don't make any move without asking the Holy Spirit first, just to keep reminding myself of that, because it's still very difficult for me to remember to do that first. And then in my own life, I was having big hairy fits all through the month of January because I couldn't get my surgery prior authorized, and it turned out to be that I'd forgotten I hadn't put my primary physician's name down when I changed insurance companies. And everyone was communicating really poorly, and I was getting very, very upset. And then finally on the 31st of the month, the woman, one of the women I was upset with, finally said, well, it's all going to change tomorrow. You know, they're letting us, you know, do everything for you on the 1st. It's like, why didn't you tell me that a while ago? But anyway, like, I forgive you, Sarah, I forgive you. And the next day she sent it in and it got authorized the next day. I didn't get the letter till yesterday. Nobody called and told me it was prior authorized. But anyway, it's prior authorized. I'm thrilled. And then my boyfriend from high school was here. I haven't seen him in like, I don't know, a million years. And I just did really well listening to the Holy Spirit the whole time he was here. Yeah, so it was very pleasant, even keeled visit with him, which was a success. And then I noticed the issue of my house smelling bad came back into my mind because the icky smell I can smell outside now. And I'm thinking, oh, there's a huge problem with the sewers and and then I realized that the ego goes, oh, she's not upset about her surgery anymore. I'm going to make her upset about the bad smell again. I'm like, aha, turn the whole thing over to the Holy Spirit. You deal with the bad smell. Maybe I'll have a couple conversations with people, but I'm not going to like lose my serenity that I just got back by starting to worry about the bad smell. So that was really an awakening of how the ego works. You know, we finally get calm and here, think about this. And then I was rereading The Disappearance of the Universe, where Gary's being instructed by Arten and Persa, and they're like, yeah, the ego's in your unconscious. If you could look in your unconscious, you would just be nauseated by what the ego is doing in your dream. It's just awful. I'm thinking, okay, I guess I just have to keep praying for the Holy Spirit to like cleanse my unconscious, because I can't do it alone. You know, it's like it's down there bubbling around and up pops these thoughts. I guess there's millions of them that don't even register. And then focus on going beyond the cloud of thoughts, either up through it or down into it, and focusing back on the light, and forget the thoughts, or send the thoughts up to be cleansed. But anyway, I'm glad that we're all working on this together, this set of skills, and that we're all light workers, and hopefully, yeah, we'll all feel happiness and light most of the time, eventually. Thanks.
Knowing that it's so. Kathleen, when is your surgery?
Oh, it's a week from Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, 16th.
16th.
I have about a bazillion people that know that and are going to be thinking about me, which I
Yeah.
really appreciate. All my drum circle family, all of you
Oh, I
guys,
bet.
like, it's just going to be a breeze, baby.
Yeah. It is. It really is. And now you can feel that it's going to be a breeze because you don't have any problems with the, with the insurance anymore.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
very grateful
Mm-hmm.
that I have insurance.
Yeah. Amen for that, sister. Me too. Yeah. Life is just a bowl of cherries. Anybody else? Go ahead.
A pair of Bowleys. Remember that Mary
Pair
Ann
of Bowleys, yes.
picture that she painted?
Yes.
Full of bowls.
Yeah. Love that. Anybody else want to share? And Robin, of course, your face popped in my mind again when I read about the rest. The perception rests and the mind is.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm resting a lot, and that's all I can say for the moment, but just rest. Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I'll share, Linda, is I love, first of all, Robin's energy. So thank you for resting and showing me how to rest more than anything. I think that's the most powerful thing we can do. But, you know, I judge myself so much when I have like a day like this, and then I have a day like yesterday. And one of the exercises that Regina has us do is she was having us listen to a short video of the lady Peace Pilgrim. The lady was walking. Anyway, she talked about the evolution of a self-centered kind of view of life versus other. And she talked about, you know, the psychological growing up of that, and how as one goes from the self-centered to the other-centered to what is good for the whole, there is this process. So she talks about that's when her pilgrimage actually started, is as she was doing that, she went back and forth between the ego and the other. And this kind of like, this is part of the process, but she says it's not you going backward, you're constantly moving forward. And this is sort of, I think Grace touched on this, is like, this is a deepening of really understanding the truth. And that gave me a lot of kind of peace, that this is sort of part of the process. Because I know, you know, I'm not the only one that, you know, when we're on this path, like when we have an off day, or we, you know, attack ourselves or someone else, we judge ourselves so harshly. But she really clarified the process of like, it's really part of the process. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the ebb and flow, like the waves on the edge of the lake. It's that ebb and flow, ebb and flow. It's so helpful. And I was just having a conversation this morning, which I've had, it seems like I've had several of those in the last couple of weeks, of just being aware of where my mind is, what my thoughts are, remembering that being spiritually aware doesn't mean that I don't have emotions and I don't have judgmental thoughts, but that I can I can see where those thoughts come from. Like I was talking about this morning, I have like, it's like a kind of my version of a healthy Sybil. So there's like this 6-year-old that has the crazy wild hair with twigs and stuff in it. She's got dirt on her face. She has a slingshot in her pocket. When she comes up, you know, she's out to get revenge. And then there's the 12-year-old boy that, you know, enjoys fart jokes and laughs at the word boobs. And, you know, he's using his humor to help keep himself safe and avoid the challenging thoughts that are coming up, the challenging emotions that are coming up. And then there's my, I don't know, I can imagine she's like 17-year-old kind of goth chick, you know, where all the world sucks. And, you know, and when I can see it that way, kind of like in our Enneagrams, where we kind of get to look at the different aspects of the personality, not in a judgmental way, but in a way where it helps us to understand where we're coming from. And we can just be sweet and tender and kind and loving to those parts of ourselves, and know that when they're showing up, they think that they are there to protect us for whatever is happening in our life at the time. That was their way of protecting themselves when we were that age. But now that we're more spiritually mature, we can see that we don't need to react in those ways anymore. So when they come up, as soon as we notice it, we can just send love to that part of ourselves and just treat them with loving kindness, you know, like the 6-year-old especially, because she's the rebellious one. And so I'm often noticing her and just like holding her and cradling her and rocking her and telling her she's going to be okay. So if we can look at the thoughts that are coming up in our mind and the things that come up in our life that we wish we would have held differently, in a way that we can just send love to that part of ourselves. And that prayer from A Course in Miracles, I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace, always comes up. You know, undo all the consequences of my wrong decision. I will let him do that. It's really all about loving yourself beyond what our concept of love has been in the past, to a place where we can love every part, every cell, every atom, every thought, you know, every bit of it. Just love it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So next week, we will be reading What is the Peace of God? That is section 820. Wow. Section 20. My book's not numbered, so I have to put my own numbers in. So we will cover that one. And in my book, it's page 49. It's about the same size as the one we just read for this week. So, but I'm sure we'll have a nice, deep conversation around it. Anybody want to share anything before we close out? And I want to welcome Colette, because it just clicked in my head. Oh yeah, drum circle. That's where, because I'm like, I know Colette, but she's not been in Course in Miracles group with us before. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here.
Linda?
Yes,
And
dear.
do we have time for Carla to read her poem again?
Oh yeah, you want to read the poem again, Carla?
Wants to.
Yeah, go for it, girl.
Thank
I
you.
forgot all about that. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and welcome, Colette.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Robin. And it may be a little different. I kind of just feel into what I'm saying. So nothing is everything. In my mind, I see myself waving a white flag of surrender, while all around me, chaos is appearing to happen. But I do not feel afraid, just empty, certain, done listening to ego-driven thoughts. It feels like I have much to do now, but I do not have a clue what that is. I am saying, screaming really, in my mind, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. All the while waving my white flag of surrender. I let go. I let go of believing anything other than love is true. I let go of believing every thought. I let go of being attached to emotion. They're just indicators. I let go until I am empty. Nothing left. But even that, I surrender. I surrender to nothingness. And in that surrender, that complete surrender, I realize I am everything.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful.
Thank you. It just brings me so much joy. I love reading. I mean,
I love hearing your poems.
yeah.
Beautiful.
So helpful.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you all.
Love you all.
See y'all
Bye
soon.
bye.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye.